Hi, this is Miss Anna from the Eldersburg Library, and I'm here today to present the Snow Day STEM program. We're going to be doing 3 snow-themed STEM activities today. I can't promise that it's actually snowing outside when you watch this, so I couldn't do anything that involved actual snow. But we're going to try 3 cool activities, and I suppose I'll just get started with the first one. So for this, and I hope to supply most of the stuff you'll need in your kits. You'll need a big cup, a little cup like this, some tape. I've just got this big thing. A little electric candle, and you do want an electric one like this. Don't know at time of recording if I'll be able to stick one in your kits or not, but I hope to. And you will also need some water, and I'm just going to pour out of the spray bottle. It says bleach on it. I promise this is water, not bleach. It's just a bottle that apparently contained bleach at some point. But it is water, and I'm just going to pour out of here because I trust a small stopper upper more than a pitcher for pouring into a little cup. So your first step is, I'm going to tilt this down a little bit, and for this craft we are going to be making a candle out of ice. It's going to look really cool. It is something that you have to leave sit overnight. But this is going to be the base of our candle, and this is going to be the holder. So the holder will go in there, and it'll sit like this, but it'll all be made of ice. It's something that you can sit outside on your porch during wintertime when it's cold. It's going to look really cool. I'm also going to use a bowl to hold my cup in, because I'm going to be pouring water in this, and I want something to catch it if it spills. So our first step, I'm going to leave this tilted down, is we need to tether our little cup inside our big cup. So I'm going to take some tape, and I'm going to put pieces of tape, longer pieces, just like this, 4 places around my little cup. Might even want to go a little longer than I just did, but you want to cover all sides of your little cup. Let me just double check that that's long enough. Yeah, I think that'll do. And one more. And then go into your big cup and kind of lower your little cup into the lid so it's centered. And tape it down. Just tether it really well. This way, when we fill up our cup with water, I'm going to need a little more on that side, we'll have a little space for our candle to go. I'm going to even double reinforce that. And we'll be able to just cut this off with scissors once our candle is done. So you probably want to go along and just make sure that's on there real secure. And if you even want to, I'm not going to do this just because I want to keep it simple, but before you put your cup in, you can take a pipe cleaner and swirl it around. You can put some confetti or pom-poms in it. You can try and decorate this. So think about that the cup is going to be filled with water, so you can put anything that would float in the water well into your cup, and then it'll freeze inside your ice candle. So my next step is to take my lid off my water that is not bleach bottle, and I'm going to scoot my computer back real far because I'm paranoid that I'm going to accidentally spill some water. And I am going to very carefully pour water into my big cup without spilling it into my little cup. And I'll come back to you when that's done because it's going to take a minute. Another fun thing you can do once you've got this a little bit full, and I'm actually going to go grab a paper towel first. So I also grabbed a paper towel for safety's sake, but I'm actually going to, now that I've got this about a third way full, half full, I'm going to take some food coloring, and I'm going to put a couple of drops in. Be very careful with food coloring because it is messy and it does stain. So you want to be real careful with that. Look at how that flows through, isn't that cool? You might want to ask an adult to help you with this part because food coloring will stain your stuff. We're going to just let that flow, and we're going to pour a little more water in that. I chose blue because I think that's like a nice wintry color. And we're going to keep pouring that water. And actually, a good idea would be to put my food coloring away. But you're going to pour the water until it gets to the top of your cup. And your little cup will start to float a little bit, but that's okay because we got it taped down. But we want to make sure that we fill that so that we kind of like encompass the little cup but not filled it with water. I'm going to stop there because I have to transport this to the freezer, and I know for a fact that I'm going to drip blue food coloring water on myself. But from here, you can see it looks like this, and this is also why I recommend having a bowl to put it in. And when it's all froze, my candle will go right here. But this is going to be the base of our ice candle. And I'm going to go stick this in the freezer, and I'm going to leave it there overnight. And when I come back tomorrow, we'll see how it went. So it is the next day, and I just got my candle out of the freezer in the break room. I do not know where the blue food dye went, but this is what it looks like. It is like solid. I honest to goodness don't know what happened to the blue food coloring. That is a mystery I cannot explain. But we're going to try and take this out now. The glitter also did not freeze in like I thought it would. So I'm going to get glitter all over myself, inevitably. So maybe you don't want to use glitter. Maybe try using like confetti or like putting some pom-poms in the water or something. Something a little heavier. But I'm just going to pull up these pieces of tape. Maybe use them to collect some of this glitter. And I'm going to put them on the edge of my bowl. I also let this defrost a little bit because I didn't think I was going to be able to get it out of the cup because it's pretty darn solid. Oh, look at that. Glitter going everywhere. Love that for me. Alright. And I taped this on pretty well, so this might take a minute. I let it defrost for about 5 minutes before I attempted to pull out the cup. And now I'm going to pry out my little cup. This might take a little time. I might need to let it defrost a little more. That is in there tight. Oh, hello. Well, I'm actually going to probably have to keep that in the video because it's the only take where I got the little cup out. But you're going to, away from your laptop, pry out the little cup. So now you'll see I have, you can't see that at all, but I promise you there's a divot right here where my candle's going to sit, like this. You're going to take your cup and in a bowl, like this, turn it upside down and try and get your candle out of there. I don't know how this is going to work. It's starting to slide when I slap it. Or I thought it was. I think I'm just going to have to, oopsie, hello. Let it defrost a little more. And then we'll see if I can get that out of the cup. You might even need to just cut your cup off the candle. I don't really want to do that because I don't think this plastic cup will cut very well. You guys might be getting paper cups. We'll see what happens. But I will get back to you once that is out. Alright, I got my candle out of the cup. What I ended up doing was setting this upside down in a bowl. Be warned, it is melty, and I put some gloves on because this thing is cold. But this is what your finished ice candle will look like. You will have just essentially a block of ice with a big divot in the top. It actually looks really cool. Some of my glitter did freeze in there like I wanted it to. I forgot to mention that off camera when I went to freeze it. I got the idea to put some glitter on the top to make it sparkly. That worked to various effect. But now I'm going to set this back in the bowl of melty water. I'm actually going to go dump the melty water. But I'm going to set that there. Then I'm going to grab a little tea light candle, an electric one. And I'm going to flip that on. You can see it's kind of glowing here. And I'm going to put that in there. And then I'm going to go shut the lights off and we'll see what our candle looks like. Oh, isn't that cool? And that would be something that's really fun to set out on your porch during the holiday season. Well, it'll be past the holiday season when this is filmed, but through the winter. And you can even, if you have a bigger cup for your small cup, put it deeper in there and it'll make the whole ice block glow. Like, let's see, if I take this and turn it upside down, You can see how the light reflects through the entire block of ice. I think that's really cool. So if you do have like a Dixie cup at home, you can tape that in there and it'll be an even deeper well for your light. I think that turned out really, really cool. And that is how we make a candle out of ice. I'm actually going to take my tea light and turn it off. I hope to be able to provide these little electric candles for you guys. I do recommend using those over a flame because that will melt your candle real quick. And also, if you like put any decorations in, I don't know how they'd react to the candle. But I think that's really fun. I now must figure out what to do with this big cup of ice. I might go set it outside the library. But we're going to go ahead and move on to our next activity. I would just like to share that the next portion of Snow Day STEM is going to be filmed at my house, because I don't know if you can tell here, but it is snowing outside and the library is closed. So, ironically enough, Snow Day STEM is going to be filmed during a snow day in December. So I just think that's fun. It's snowing like all get out, so it's supposed to all day, so we'll see what comes of that. But the rest of this will be in my basement. Anywho, so we were finishing up our activity with our ice candle. So I was going to talk a little bit about how our candle froze. So when materials are cooled, their molecules, such as the H2O molecules in water, vibrate less and compact together. And most materials will eventually reach a point called a temperature called the freezing point. And at this point, the molecules form a crystalline solid. And that is what happened with the water that formed to create our ice candle. And because we kind of created a mold with the little cup and the big cup, the ice froze into that solid shape. And if it's really cold outside and it's still the freezing temperature of the water, your ice candle won't melt. So like on a day like today where it is frigid out and blizzarding, even though you really can't see, your ice candle would be fine outside, and you could stick a electric candle in it and just let it go. I wouldn't maybe do that today because it would get snowed on top of, but on like a day where you just want to have like a nice holiday display outside, I keep forgetting that this is gonna come after the holidays. Yeah, but if you want to just have like a nice wintry display outside, you can stick your candle out and light up a light, and it'll look really pretty. It looks so cool when it's lit up. So anyway, let's move on to our next activity. Okay, for this next activity, we are going to be making a snowball launcher. And you might not have actual snowballs to try this out, but you can try making snowballs out of pom-poms or styrofoam balls or crumpled up paper. We're going to be using cotton balls for the sake of this activity. But for this craft, you're going to need a paper cup. Most of this will come in your kit. You will need a balloon. I'm actually going to use a blue one because I think that's Symmetry. You'll need a hot glue gun or some strong tape. I have this hot glue gun that I borrowed from the library that I'll be returning when I go back. And you'll need something to represent your snowballs. Like I said, I'm going to use those cotton balls. And you'll need a pair of scissors. So the first thing you're going to do, and I'll tilt this down so you can see what I'm doing, is you want to cut the bottom off your cup. You want to cut it about right here, about halfway through. You're going to kind of make a pinch in your cup and then cut into it with your scissors and then just keep cutting around. You might want to ask an adult for help with this step, but you just want to cut all the way around the cup. So when you're done, it'll look like this. And you might also want to trim any jagged edges off. It can be a little hard to cut that smoothly. But you'll have something that looks like this. Then you're going to take your balloon, stretch it out a bit, and tie a knot in the end that you would normally blow in to blow up the balloon. So you're going to go ahead and tie off the end of that, just like this. And then take your scissors and cut off the tip of the balloon. So you have something that looks like this. And it stretches real far. Then we're going to go onto the cutoff end of that, the cutoff end of our cup, and stretch the balloon out over it. I'm going to try that. So I actually played around with this, and I discovered an even better idea. So what I'm actually going to do is do the same thing I did with the big half of my cup, and just cut the bottom off the bottom half. I'm just going to cut out the very bottom part. Again, you might want to ask an adult for a hand with this part. So now I've got this ring. I'm going to turn it upside down, and I'm going to making sure that the tied end is out because we want something to yank. I'm going to stretch my balloon over that. So it looks like this, and you want to make sure it's really taut. You want to make sure that it's like drum tight. This might work better with a plastic cup. I'm using sturdy paper ones to give you guys. And I'm going to play with something real quick. I've discovered that you don't actually have to really glue this down. You just kind of need a cup that's cut in half and your balloon tied shut and stretched out real taut on top of it. So you should be able to hear this noise. If you want to make that more secure, you can plug in your glue gun and do a bead of glue around there to make sure it's tight. But I want to do a little experiment and try out different sizes. So this is my first size, and I'm going to try and launch a snowball. So I'm going to bring this up. We're going to pretend this cotton ball is my snowball. I'm going to put it in there, and I'm going to yank down on this balloon. Hold it like this. See what happens. Well, that was anticlimactic. Let's try that again. So I'm going to stick this in here. I'm going to pull it out real far. Check that out. Look how it flies. Isn't that fun? Even if I just do it straight up. Oh, there it goes. That's what we want to see. The further that you pull back on the balloon is the further that your snowball will go. So I'm going to try it one more time. And I'm going to pull back real far. Check that out. It goes flying. And something that might be fun to try before you tack your balloon down with the hot glue is to pull it off and try it on a different side. So I'm going to try it on the top half of my cup. I'm going to just stretch that out real tight, and it's going to bend my cup a little bit. This is a little tricky. I'm going to pause for. So now I've got that on there, and if you're going to glue it, I recommend doing it on the little half. But I'm going to stick my snowball in. Let's see what happens. I'm going to pull it real far. Check that out. There it goes. And I think I like my little size. But once again, all you got to do is lay it upside down like that. Stretch out your balloon and just make sure it's real tight. Put in your snowball, yank your balloon, and launch it. And now I gotta go find that cotton ball. And again, if you want it to be more secure, you can just take a bead of hot glue and go all the way around that edge, and it'll hold it down. And that might, if you're actually going to go play in the snow with it, you might want to do that first so you don't lose a balloon in your yard. And that is how we make our snowball launcher. So how does our snowball launcher work? So for this activity, we are going to be talking a bit about physics, specifically the laws of motion. So the first law of motion states that an object will remain at rest until a force is placed upon it. So in our case, the object is our snowball. For this, I'm going to use this paper towel. So the snowball doesn't launch by itself, so we need to create a force. The force is going to be us pulling back the balloon. And this, the second law of motion says that a mass, such as our snowball, will accelerate when a force is placed upon it. So when we put our snowball in our launcher and pull back on our balloon and release it, we are placing a force upon our mass, or on the snowball. And finally, the third law of motion tells us that for every action, there is an equal and opposite reaction. So when we take a mass, such as the snowball, and apply the force of launching it with the balloon, the force created by the stretched out balloon pushes the mass away. Therefore, the force pushing the snowball out, the tug on the balloon, is equal to the force pushing it back or launching it. So, when we enter an object at rest into another object at rest, nothing happens. But when we apply a force, we're able to launch our snowball. So we just did a fun activity using physics. And I again encourage you to try this out using different sizes of cups. Use the top of your cup and the bottom. If it's actually snowing when you do this, try it with like an actual snowball. Try it with different kinds of snowballs. You might want to try crumpled up paper or styrofoam ball. See what different weights of mass, how that impacts your activity. And with that said, we're going to move on to our third project. So for our last activity, you cannot see it. Can my touchscreen focus, please? Thank you. We're going to be doing something that you might recognize if you did our holiday stem, but we're going to be using symmetry, which is when, in our case, when two sides of a line look exactly alike, it's a math concept, to make some paper snowflakes. And you're going to get, I think, templates for two pre-organized snowflakes in your kit. And you'll also get this template in order to draw your own. So to start out, we're going to cut out this square. And I'm going to pause because I can't imagine that's too exciting to watch. So there's actually directions at the top of your sheet here, so we'll be following those. So I'm going to turn this down so you can see it. Our first half is going to be to turn this upside down, and on this black line, fold your piece of paper diagonally in half to make a triangle. So you're just essentially going to just fold that right in half. And then have the side with the pattern facing up. Then we're going to fold it in half again to get a smaller triangle. So we're going to fold on this line of symmetry. And then this is the part that's slightly tricky. We're going to take this section and fold it to the back along that line. And then we're going to do the same on this side. We're going to fold that back so that we just have a triangle in the front here. All following along those lines. Let me make sure I'm actually recording here, because sometimes I'm not. There we go. Then we're going to just cut off this top part, because we don't need that. I do recommend doing this on a table, because there's going to be lots of bits of paper. Then we're going to leave anything that's white, but cut away anything that's gray. So I'm going to use the back of my scissors because that cuts a little smoother. And I'm just going to go in and cut away all of the gray parts of the snowflake pattern. I try to include, you might also just want to like go ahead and cut off the big pieces so you can work on the smaller ones. I included one, this is the one that I think is a little harder. I included one that looked a little easier and one that looked a little more difficult. So I decided to try the challenging one for myself. And again, there's even a pattern in there that you can draw your own snowflake pattern to experiment with. I think that would be really fun. So I can't imagine it's too fun watching me cut out the gray parts of a snowflake pattern. So I'm just going to finish this one and show you what it looks like. But see, this is what it'll look like so far. You'll just have the white part left. So I'm going to pause and get back to you once that's all cut out. Alright, I brought this back up because now it's time for the fun part. Actually, I'm going to go right back down because you can't see it against my light wall. But the fun part is when we get to open up our snowflakes. And each time we're going to see that it's completely symmetrical on each side. See how on both sides of this snowflake, it looks exactly alike. And I'm going to be really, really careful as I open this, because this one does look a bit delicate. You can see very carefully how I open it. Oh, wow, check that out. I'm going to smooth it out on my table. That is so cool. And now I have a really cool looking snowflake. You can try taping these up on a wall or window. I like to make a bunch and then take a needle and thread and make a garland. And you notice that you have turn symmetry here too, because every way you turn it, it's still the same. You can look at that line of symmetry and see it's the same on both sides. Don't know why I'm presenting that like it's a game show prize. But you can turn it and it's still the same. And I actually have talked about just plain symmetry in a previous video, and a lot of you guys are regulars. So I'm actually going to talk about why real snowflakes are symmetrical. So if you ever actually look at a picture of a snowflake in real life, if you Google image them, you'll notice that a lot of snowflakes are actually symmetrical. And this is because they reflect the internal order according to this article I'm reading on Scientific American, of the water molecules as they arrange themselves in a solid state, or as we mentioned in the ice candle activity, in the process of crystallizing and becoming a solid. Water molecules in the solid state, like ice and snow, form weak bonds called hydrogen bonds to one another. And these ordered arrangements create a symmetrical hexagonal shape. So because of the molecular structure of the freezing water, we get that really cool, pretty snowflake shape. And I think that's really cool. And when snowflakes crystallize, the molecules also align themselves to maximize attractive forces and minimize repulsive ones. Therefore, the water molecules arrange themselves in a way that creates a pattern and looks symmetrical to us when we look at them through a microscope. So if you have any questions about this, I feel like I'm not explaining it well. I'll see if I can get headquarters to put this article I discovered in the Facebook post, or I'll add it as a comment. But that is how we do 3 winter STEM-related activities. We've got our snowflakes, we got our snowball launcher, and I don't have it with me because I got snowed out of the branch, but we did an ice candle. So I hope you all are having a great day. I'm still watching the actual snow fall down outside this window that you can't see it. But I hope you all have a great day. If you have any questions, please feel free to email me at ajohns@carr.org. I will get back to you. And please feel free to show examples of your crafts in the comments of the Facebook post for this activity. And everybody have a great day. Bye!